Welcome back to the Warriors postgame show.
Jackson Jr. cut off, knocked away by Butler. Butler's got the steal. He accelerates by Bain to the rim and dunks it. A two-hand slam.
On the Warriors Radio Network.
Well, having dropped 3 of 4 and without the services of a sixth Steph Curry, Denver was probably the last place the Warriors wanted to play tonight. But alas, they would fall and draw back to 500 on the young season. Starters, Brandon Podziemski had 7 points, 3 assists, and a blocked shot. Jimmy Butler back in the lineup after dealing with that back issue, had 16 points. Draymond Green, 17 points, including 5 made threes, and of course a block and a steal. Moses Moody played just 19 minutes, shot 1 of 9. Jonathan Kuminga also struggled shooting the ball, 3 of 10, en route to just 6 points. The Dubs did have 2 dunks, so $5,000 will be donated by Rakuten to the Warriors Community Foundation. It's all part of the Dunks for Donations program, presented by Rakuten. So thank you, Rakuten, and go Dubs. Warriors bench, Quentin Post had 14 points, and fresh off his 30-point game in Sacramento the other night, Will Richard played well as well. Buddy Hield, 2 of 6 shooting, 8 points on 3 of 7 shooting. Pat Spencer, 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Trace Jackson Davis, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. And tonight the Dubs had 12 made free throws, so $6,000 will be donated to the Warriors Community Foundation. It's all benefiting education-focused nonprofits in and around the Bay Area. It's part of the Free Throws for Futures program powered by the PG&E Corporation. Visit Warriors.com/free throws if you'd like to learn more. 12 turnovers, surprising when you consider the amount of stat time. Warriors won the rebounding battle by 5. We continue with the Warriors postgame show next.
Say you're a coach in Chase Center and need to draw up a last-second play. Or you're a fan in Section 212 craving nachos. AI from Google Cloud can help with both. The Warriors are using AI from Google Cloud to break down every move on the court, helping coaches game plan. And for fans, the same AI powers the mobile app, giving you personalized content, highlights, and yes, nachos ordered from your phone. With AI, you're always in the game, even off the court. Google Cloud, the official AI partner of the Golden State Warriors.
AM/PM is about to change things forever. Introducing the new AM/PM Taco 2-Pack. Available in 2 unique flavors, shredded chicken and slow-cooked carnitas. New, sleek, pillowy tortilla case wraps around a protein-packed core brought to life by our flavor-enhancing 6-hour slow-cooking process to deliver all-day value.
New Taco 2-Packs, only at AM/PM and only $5. AM/PM, too much good stuff. Plus tax where applicable. Prices and participation may vary. Terms and conditions apply.
1 in 8 women have thyroid issues.
Am I the one? I am kind of tired. I should see a doctor. Is it genetic? Does my health plan even cover tests like that? In-network, out-of-network? Why is this always a whole big thing? Wait. I have Kaiser Permanente. So my coverage includes regular preventive care. Guess it doesn't have to be a whole big thing.
Kaiser Permanente. Healthcare that just works.
Here's the tale of the daily Medfield. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap GoodRx, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang, that one little ad does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
This is Draymond Green. Welcome back to the Warriors broadcast booth, presented by DoorDash.
The NBC Sports Authentic moment of the game was from San Jose's Aaron Gordon.
Gordon stops, pushes heel out of the way. Crossover dribble down the lane, over post, and he dunks it with a right hand. And that gets the crowd roaring here at Ball Arena. Decisive move by Aaron Gordon.
Nuggets were led by Nikola Jokic's 26 points, 9 boards, and 9 assists. Warriors back home to face the Pacers on Sunday evening before hitting the road yet again. Good night from Denver. Nuggets 129, Warriors 104.
Hi, I'm John with Jack's Restaurant and Bar. My brothers and I recorded our first commercial a while back. Got a little chaotic, so I'm here today.
What's going on here, bro?
Are you
recording a commercial without us?
Guys, no, I'm just trying
to what? Take all the credit for our half-pound all-natural burgers?
Or the best fish and chips
or
around?
7 mac and cheeses and 14 sandwiches, including a French dip that will change your life?
Or homemade meatloaf, pot roast, and next-level lamb
chops? Or that people can order takeout and delivery by visiting ilovejacks.com?
Guys, no, I'm
just went behind our backs.
I knew he would.
Wait till we tell Mom.
Oh, please don't tell Mom.
Real family, great food, ilovejacks.com.
Hey, Dub Nation. If you're traveling to cheer on the Warriors this season, then the most important thing to pack is the United Airlines app. You can track your bags, change your flight or your seat, get a personalized map of the airport terminal, even talk to a live customer service agent. It's like having a travel agent in the palm of your hand for free. And yeah, that technically makes it a free agent. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
Kia is the official automotive partner of the NBA. And we think about basketball a lot. The plays, the swagger, the glory, the game. And how we can elevate our own game with capability that takes us to another level. And ground clearance that propels us even higher. The 3-row 2025 Kia Telluride X-Line all-wheel drive. Kia, official vehicle partner of the Golden State Warriors. Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
15 years ago, PG&E launched Power Pathway, an education and job training program developed to increase the number of skilled workers in the energy industry. Since then, 85% of the graduates have been hired by PG&E or the construction utility industry, focusing on students in underserved communities, women, and military veterans. Power Pathway is helping the next generation of PG&E energy professionals build a better future for themselves and a clean energy future for California. To learn more, visit pge.com/powerpathway.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
Make pet care stress-free with PetMeds, the official partner of the Golden State Warriors. As a trusted national online pharmacy for over 29 years, PetMeds is licensed in all 50 states to support your pet's wellness. We offer a comprehensive range of health solutions for every stage of life, from prescription medications to nutrition and supplements. Visit PetMeds.com and use promo code WARRIORS for 30% off your entire order. PetMeds, empowering you to help your pets live longer, healthier lives.
Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
You wish you were here.
This Odyssey Sports broadcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. The light.
Free throw's good for Guy Santos. Denver's going to run out the clock. Tyson will hold it on the far side. Those who are left rise as one. And the buzzer will sound, and this game is over. as Golden State has split their first 10 games as they lose by a count of 129-104. And we'll try to right the ship on Sunday night when they welcome those very same Indiana Pacers.
Ugly one for the Warriors in Denver tonight. They lose 129-104. You just heard it there from the voice of the Dubs, Tim Roy, right here on 95.7 The Game. That was not an easy one to watch. And maybe if you don't have Prime Video, you were looking for it on NBC Sports Bay Area, you weren't subjected to it. You just heard Tim Roy describe the action. That's probably better than watching that game. That's how ugly it was. Welcome in. It's Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Warriors down Steph Curry. I don't know how many people were legitimately going into this game picking the Warriors to win, but I think just about all of us probably expected a little bit more fight and competitiveness from this Warrior team, but they ultimately lose 129-104. The Warriors in this one never really were in it. There was a brief moment in the second quarter when they went on a 10-0 run, got back within one, but Denver immediately responded, went on a 21-3 run. They pushed the lead right back up near 20. They ultimately led by as many as 28, and once that run happened, after the Warriors' initial run in the second quarter, this game was over. It never really got competitive again, and the Warriors are now 5-5. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They began the season 4-1, and they're now 1-4 in their last 5 games, and they're back to 500. The Nuggets with the win are at 6-2. Again, this was a dominating win for the Nuggets from the jump. They were fully healthy. Nikola Jokic was awesome in this game. Jamal Murray was great in this game, particularly in the second quarter. He scored in this game. Jamal Murray did 23 points. 16 of them came in the second quarter. Aaron Gordon did his usual things to hurt the Warriors. He scored 18 points, had a poster dunk on Aaron Gordon had a poster dunk on Quentin Post. He drove past Buddy Hield. Anytime a big is driving past one of your guys on the perimeter, never a good sign. The Warriors' defense, I felt it was pretty lazy. It lacked effort. It lacked energy. It lacked certain competitive fire. The Warriors are bad in terms of point-of-attack defenders. They cannot keep ball handlers out of the paint. I felt the rotations were pretty darn lazy. There were a number of times where Denver, either off of a drive or however they gained an advantage, would kick the ball out, and then the Nuggets, as happens often in today's NBA, just pass the ball around the perimeter looking for a good look, and the Warriors kind of lackadaisical, kind of lazy, recovering and rotating and running out shooters and running them off the three-point line and forcing them to put the ball on the dribble. And then also, one thing that's becoming a major problem for this Warrior team is overhelping. And this was an issue last year. It's on a drive, you're checking a shooter, and you kind of get sucked into the paint to help on that drive, a little more than you should. You've got a great shooter along the perimeter, and you got, maybe your guy is getting beat off the dribble, but you're not coming off of that three-point shooter, and then what happens is the whole defense collapses in on the paint. They kick it out, wide open three, and Denver wasn't missing them today. They made 16 threes on 33 attempts. That's just a tick under 50% from downtown. They executed very, very well, but the Warriors were not really in their way at all in this one, and they lose 129-104. Just a uninspiring performance by the Warriors, I think, is the best way to put it. Steve Kerr speaking post-game, and we'll get some of that sound coming up a little bit later on. Steve Kerr says the Warriors lacked competitive fire and purpose from the start. Not happy with that part against one of the best teams in the league. And yeah, there's a parallel to be drawn here from what happened in Milwaukee last week for the Warriors. That's now, 8 days ago? That was on Thursday of last week when the Bucks, without Giannis, and the Warriors did not come out with the right level of energy and focus in that game, a game in which they should win. When you're fully healthy, the Bucks are not down their superstar. You should come in and win that basketball game. It's what drives Steve Kerr crazy when opposing superstars miss games, because the Warriors tend to, for whatever reason, not attack that game with the right energy. Well, what did Denver do today? No Steph Curry. The Warriors superstar is out. What did Denver do? They did not take the Warriors lightly, and they put the pedal to the metal from the jump, and they controlled this game immediately. The Warriors scored the first points of this game. It was a Draymond Green corner three. Then Denver went on a 12-0 run, and the Warriors missed their next 7 shots. And at that point, besides for that one little run to begin the second quarter, this game was just about over. Oof. Again, I don't know how many of us were legitimately going into this game expecting the Warriors to win. But the Warriors kind of went into this game feeling like they felt it was already over. And that is not a good energy and not a good vibe around this team right now. Now, look, you're going to have games like this. You're going to have games like on Wednesday in Sacramento versus the Kings. Like, it's going to happen over the course of a season. Kings game, you're down Steph, you're down Jimmy, you're down Draymond, and honestly, I thought the team fought pretty well. Now, there are still a lot of mistakes that we can pick at and talk through, but, that's a hard one when you're down your 3 most important players. And tonight, you did get Jimmy back, and you did get Draymond back. Al Horford did not play, though, dealing with some minor foot issue, but Steph Curry also out today, and you're going up against a much, much better team in Denver. Denver way better than Sacramento, and certainly way better than the Warriors without Stephen Curry. Remember, the Warriors already beat this Denver team in Chase Center when the Warriors were fully healthy. They won that game in overtime. But you're going to have some games like this, absolutely, over the course of a year, especially a team like the Warriors that are as old, and you're going to be susceptible to your stars missing some games. It's going to happen, of course. But what you can't have is not nights like tonight. Like, obviously, this, I'm not sugarcoating at all. This was a really uninspiring performance by the Warriors. They looked pretty lifeless out there, especially defensively. I mean, they are a Draymond Green outlier 3-point performance away from this being incredibly ugly. They lost this game by 25 points. Draymond made 5 threes. Only the 12th time in his career he's made 5 threes. 12 times in his career he's made 5 threes. If Draymond just has a normal 3-point shooting night where he maybe makes 1 on 3 or 4 attempts, we're talking about the Warriors losing this game by 30 or 40. Like, the Warriors were never really in this game, and it was already ugly, but it wasn't that far away from being even uglier. I'm not to say that this was an acceptable, okay, good performance. By no means was it that. But you're going to have nights like this where you're in Denver, one of the most difficult places to play in the league, against, for my money, a top 4, top 3 team in the entire NBA. I told you guys earlier this year, Denver was my preseason pick to win the finals this year. I am incredibly high on Denver. They're a very, very good basketball team. You're down Steph. You're on the road. Not going to be an easy one. Where nights like tonight hurt is that you were not able to take advantage of the games that you should have won. Tonight makes Milwaukee last Thursday, Indiana last Saturday hurt 10 times more. Way, way, way more. Because if the Warriors had even just won one of those 2 games on the road, let's just say the Indiana game, right, where they were up by 11 with 6 minutes left in regulation, they just hold on and they win that basketball game. They don't have the disaster of the final 6 minutes there. Say you still lose in Milwaukee, say you still lose versus the Kings on Wednesday, and you still lose tonight. Instead of being 5-5 and 1-4 in your last 5, you get that win in Indiana. You're 6-4, and your fingers are crossed that you get Steph Curry back for Sunday versus the Pacers. And by the way, Steph Curry did not travel with the team to Denver, so Steph, maybe, hopefully, for his sake, already asleep, getting some rest and trying to fight off this cold or whatever he's got going on and get ready for Sunday. But how much better does 6-4 sound than 5-5 right now after that 4-1 beginning? Tonight's loss makes that road trip to Milwaukee and Indiana hurt 10 times more. That's where the Warriors left some meat on the bone. Not tonight. Now, again, tonight was not good by any stretch. But what happened in that last road trip now hurts like 10 times more because you were healthy in those games. You had Steph, you had Draymond, you had Jimmy. Now the last 2 games, you've missed Steph in both, you've missed Draymond in one and Jimmy in one, and you lose both those games. Understandable, right? It's understandable given the circumstances. They lost both these last 2 games. What's not understandable is that Milwaukee and Indiana game, and specifically that Indiana game. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, FM and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, and now broadcasting from the Laughing Monk Studios. Mark Randy with you here on Warriors Wrap-Up. If you want to weigh in, give me a call, 888-957-9570. As we dive back into what happened in this game today, you got to kind of piece together how you would expect the Warriors to win a game versus the Nuggets on the road without Steph. What would the check marks that you need? What would you need in order to maybe not even win, but just be competitive? How do you compete versus this Denver team in Denver down Steph Curry? How do you do it? Well, I think obviously you're going to need a lot from Jimmy Butler. You're going to need Draymond to play great defense against Nikola Jokic. You're going to have to hope Denver maybe doesn't get it going from the outside. You're going to have to hope Jamal Murray doesn't go on a heater like he did in that second quarter. Again, Jamal Murray scored 23 points. 16 of them came in the second quarter. After that 10-0 Warrior run, Jamal Murray just took over. And what made that run to begin the second quarter so bad for the Warriors was while both Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic were on the bench. The Warriors got ran off the floor in the first quarter because Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon played the entire first quarter. I think Jokic played exactly all 12 minutes. Gordon subbed out with maybe 45 seconds left in that first quarter. But essentially, they played the entire first quarter. And they were good in that first quarter. They led the Warriors by 11. Then they head to the bench to begin the second quarter. It's their normal rotation pattern, right? And the Warriors immediately answer by going on a 10-0 run, which, great. I mean, there was some Quentin Post in there. There was some Trace Jackson Davis in there, which was kind of interesting to see both those two play on the floor together. Steve Kerr was definitely experimenting. But you got within one on a 10-0 run. Denver calls timeout. They don't bring Jokic in. They don't bring Gordon in. Those two are still on the bench, and those are the two, of course. Jokic, we know, perennial MVP candidate. Probably, for my money, the best player in the NBA currently. I think it's him or Giannis, in my opinion. And Aaron Gordon, who just every time he plays the Warriors hurts them, scored 50 points a couple of weeks ago here at Chase Center, scored 38 against the Warriors towards the end of last regular season. Those guys are still on the bench. And then what does Denver do? They go on a 21-3 run, and 16 of those 21 points were Jamal Murray. And we're talking about over a short stretch of time in that second quarter when they just exploded. Exploded. You can't let that happen when Jokic and Gordon are on the bench. If you're going to have a chance to win this game, or at least be close to winning this game down the stretch versus this Denver team, you have to win the non-Jokic minutes. Definitely the non-Jokic and non-Gordon minutes, but specifically the non-Jokic minutes, and they did not do that tonight. They got run while Gordon and Jokic were on the bench, specifically in that second quarter. Overall, in this game, Nikola Jokic was, his normal self. Man, how good is he? He played 28 minutes. He had 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. He was a rebound and an assist shy of a triple-double. He was those numbers shy of a triple-double with 9 boards, 9 assists, early, maybe midway through the third quarter. It did not matter. He was so good. He was 12 for 15 from the field, did not get to the free throw line, and still scored 26 points in 28 minutes. The dude is amazing. And in his 28 minutes, he was a plus 16. That means while he rested, the Nuggets were 9 points better than the Warriors. And it honestly was worse than that for the majority of the first half, while the game was still kind of technically in the balance, while it was before it was decided. You just can't have that. So that's box to check number one. Win the non-Jokic minutes. That did not happen. How are you going to win the non-Jokic minutes? Well, again, you're going to need a lot from Jimmy. You're going to need really good defense from Draymond. But what are you going to need offensively? You're going to need your threes to fall. You look at Moses Moody. You look at Brandon Pajemski. You look at Jonathan Kuminga. Those three who, are kind of the second core of this team. You have the veterans, right? You have Steph, you got Draymond, you got Jimmy. And if you want, you can throw Al Horford in there, but he's just kind of tacked on to the end of that group. But then beyond those three, you've got your youth core, kind of your young core, which is Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Brandon Podziemski, all of whom started today, by the way. The Warriors went with Podziemski, Moody, Butler, Kuminga, and Draymond. So you got your core three young guys in that starting group. What did you get from those three? Well, let me just read this to you. Combined, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Brandon Podziemski. 15 points, 7 for 29 from the field, 1 for 12 from downtown. Let me read this to you again. And first I'll give you the individual numbers. Moses Moody had 2 points, 1 of 9 shooting, 0 of 6 from deep. Kuminga 6 points, 3 of 10 shooting, 0 of 2 from deep. Brandon Podziemski, 7 points, 3 of 10 shooting, 1 of 4 from deep. Combined, Moody, Kuminga, Podziemski. 15 points, 7 for 29 shooting, 1 for 12 from downtown. Just nowhere near good enough. Absolutely nowhere near good enough. If you're going to compete with this Denver team, down Steph Curry, those three guys probably got to combine for close to 60 points. And they combined for 15. Moses Moody, his shot looked amazing the last two games. What he did at home versus Phoenix, and specifically what he did on the road versus Sacramento, he's talking about how he made that slight adjustment to his jumper, and it was working wonders. He was not a factor today in this game. 1 of 9 from the field, 0 of 6 from downtown. Jonathan Kuminga was scoreless in the first half, scored all 6 of his points in the third quarter. He definitely was better in the third quarter, a little more aggressive, got to his spots in and around the paint. His first half, for my money, probably was his worst first half or his worst half of the season. And then Brandon Podziemski, basically a non-factor. And I think one thing that we got to talk about with Brandon Podziemski, Steve Kerr loves to call him a connector, and I think Steve Kerr is absolutely right on that. And by the way, we're going to go to the phone lines here in just a sec. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Eric, I see you. Hang out. We're coming to you in a couple minutes. I've also got the text line up. The Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, 888-957-9570. And I got the YouTube chat up, as always, youtube.com/957. The Game, everything we do there on YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I see you, Bees. I see Brandon Powers. Who's that? Looks like Evan, Aaron, Empire, Joseph, and a handful of others. Keep the chats flowing on YouTube. With Brandon Podziemski, a shout out to Arthur, who I just saw comment in, listening from Germany. Thank you, Arthur. We're international here on Warriors Wrap Up. With Podziemski, I don't think Steve Kerr is wrong in calling him a connector, right? But not as if being a connector is an insult, but in the definition of what a connector is, it brings two pieces or multiple pieces together. Podziemski, for my money, at this stage of his career, and who knows what his future is going to hold, but at this stage, he's not more than a connector. Like, he's a connector at best. And a connector is good when you have things to connect. But the Warriors without Steph don't have a connector. And the problem becomes, when Steph is out, the connectivity of Podziemski becomes almost worthless because you don't have these things to connect anymore. And Podziemski suddenly has to become an initiator, and he has to be kind of the driving force behind things. Specifically, when Jimmy Butler isn't being maybe as demonstrative as you would want him to be offensively. I'm kind of confused why the offense wasn't just run through Jimmy when he was on the floor today. We can talk about that as the night moves along. But when Steph is out and Podziemski is kind of tasked with being the starting point guard for this Warrior team, suddenly he doesn't need to be a connector anymore. He needs to be the initiator and the creator. And to this point, Podziemski hasn't shown an ability to put the ball on the deck, drive past his initial man, drive past his defender, beat his man off the dribble, and either score down low or create an advantage where the defense collapses, then he can kick it out, and create a shot, right? Like, you're not going to be able to create Steph's gravity in the aggregate, right? Like, Steph is just a force by being out there on the court. He could stand on the corner. He would have a positive impact on your offense. I'm not expecting Podziemski to be able to do that. But when Steph is out, offense becomes 10 times more difficult. And you need a guy to just off the dribble, to begin a possession, beat your guy. And because of the position Podziemski plays, a lot of that responsibility falls onto him. And he can't do that. He's a connector. He's not the initiator. He's not the creator. Can he take advantage based on the advantage that is given to him because of what happens when Steph is on the floor? Yes, absolutely he can do that. But where there's no advantage, can Podziemski create that advantage for himself or for somebody else? No, at least not right now. And if that's the case, then how are you going to operate as an offense? Like, I was talking about this and went back and forth with someone about it on Twitter. I essentially tweeted, without Steph Curry, the Warriors don't have a player, and maybe Pat Spencer's the closest to it. The Warriors don't have a player that can just say, all right, I'm going to beat my guy off the dribble, and I'm going to create an advantage for our offense. And that's how you kind of begin your set offensively. Whether it is, you drive, and then Kuminga cuts baseline, you throw the lob, because his man came to help off of your drive, and then Kuminga is freed up for an alley-oop dunk, or maybe it's a rolling big Quentin Post off a screen and roll, or whatever it is. You take advantage of that. You take advantage of the advantage you created by dribbling and beating your guy off the dribble. The Warriors don't have that without Stephen Curry. And Steph, while he's not, I would say, like the premier driver on the planet, like he's an incredible ball handler, and considering his age, still great quickness and can beat his guy off the dribble. Absolutely he can. But it's not as if he's SGA in terms of just the volume, the number of drives into the paint every game. Like he's not that. And some of it is his age, but that's also never been like his number one strength. His number one strength is, the step back, creating space off the dribble on the perimeter, and of course, his amazing shot ability. But what Steph also does, in addition to being this Warriors team best attacker off the dribble, is just his presence out there opens up everything else for everybody else. Why Podziemski is more effective when Steph Curry is on the floor is because all of the defenders on the back of their mind, even the one guarding Podziemski, is being like, oh God, where's Steph? Oh God, where's Steph? I got to keep an eye on Steph. Where's Steph? And that just makes the ask of Podziemski, or I'm focusing here on Podziemski, but the same is true for literally every other Warriors player. It makes the ask on those other players so much easier when the defense has to worry about Steph Curry 24/7. So it's not just that you take away Steph's ability to drive and then either dish or score. You also, just by not having him on the floor, the defense can collapse and they can relax, and they don't have to respect and defend the gravity of Steph Curry. And the Warriors are really, really dealing with a lack of an ability to create off the dribble in their half-court offense without Steph on the floor. And then the other half is they're really struggling at the point of attack defense. And if we can focus on Podziemski still, what's happening with Podziemski is he's getting targeted on the defensive end. What is happening is Podziemski's guarding. It happened multiple times today. He was matched up oftentimes with Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson today did not score, but he was a plus 25. I know single game plus minus is a flawed statistic, but he did not score in 25 minutes. Yet you know what he did today? He set a couple of screens, and the Warriors had no response to it. Aaron Gordon controlling the ball. One of them was in semi-transition, and one of them was just on the right wing. Aaron Gordon with the ball, Cam Johnson with Podziemski guarding him would come up and set a screen, and they would get Podziemski switched on to Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon would back him down, would put his back to him, and then just back him down from the right wing, get all the way into the block, and then either score or get fouled, get to the free throw line and make a couple of free throws. It happened multiple times in this game. And that's not like a knock on Podziemski. I'm not saying, hey, Pods, you got to defend Aaron Gordon, like you should take him. No, that's an incredibly lopsided matchup. The point is, Podziemski on one end is having a hard time being the initiator offensively for the Warriors, the off-the-dribble creator, and on the other end, he's getting picked on. The Warriors need to have a more creative answer and response to that. They don't have that right now. 888-957-9570. Let's go out to the phones. As promised, Eric in Millbrae is up first. Eric, what's up? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, what's going on, man? Disappointing. I didn't expect the Warriors to win. It's already tough going into Mile High against one of the best teams in basketball. You don't have Curry, man. You need like career high games for everybody on the current squad to pull off that upset. I mean, the way Nuggets are rolling, you already have enough tough time with them. I know you beat them at Chase Center 2 weeks ago, but it's a different story when you have to go into that altitude and play this team. As far as Pods go, I think Dust fans got to face it. He's a streaky spot-up shooter. He's not a playmaker. So people who think he can be that type of player, that's not his game. I mean, Spencer is more of that in terms of being able to create his own shot. So when you don't have a guy like Al Horford, especially against a big lineup like the Nuggets are out there, it's going to be even more daunting. So it's just disappointing with the way the Warriors have kicked a couple of these games, losing to the Pacers, choking away that Bucks game. It's inexcusable. We know that how tight-knit the West is, and losing a couple of these games, come back at the end of the season when you have to battle back from out of the play-in. So it's critical that these guys can produce. I'm confident the Warriors can perform at a high level at home, but it's just on the road for some reason they just tend to have these mental collapses. Even when Curry was out there, losing those type games to teams they have no business losing to. So I just hope this is an early season stretch and not the pattern for the stretch of the season. And as far as finally Pods go, I don't know. You're stuck in a place besides benching Pods. They really don't have any options because Kerr pretty much Pods is the only guy who can really throw out there. Unless you want to go with the Moody Kuminga lineup out there and send him to the bench. What do you think propose they do when Curry's out? Because I don't think the Curry, Butler, and Draymond are going to play a whole lot of games together. I'm hoping they play at least 30+, but that's going to be a tough task with their age and injury wear and tear. I just think it's going to be a tough ask of Kerr unless they make a trade in terms of how you play Pods going forward, because I know Kerr and a lot of Dust fans are frustrated. I want to get your opinion on that. And they got the game on tomorrow on Sunday against Pacers. You better win that game, and I think they will handle business. It's just they got a tough stretch of games. They really got to go down. Curry hopefully recover from his flu and ready to go because they got, I think, Spurs multiple times in OKC. So it's going to be a tough week ahead of games. So I want to get your opinion on terms of the Pods enigma they have right now. Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Eric. And good to hear from you as always. You're right. They do have the Pacers on Sunday at home, and then they head back out on the road for 6. A really, really strange schedule. I know there's been a lot of talk about that. I have some numbers that I want to share with you about this stretch of the Warriors schedule. I mean, it's not just all these road games. It's not just the fact that there's these back-to-backs. It's the nature of the schedule where it's 1 game at home, 2 games on the road, 1 game at home, 6 games on the road, and then back at home for 1. And then it's just, it would be better if you just had, 5 games in a row at home and 8 games in a row on the road. Like, just stop the back and forth. Anyway, I will share some of the numbers with you when we get towards the end of the show tonight, because it is pretty amazing just how unique, not just for the Warriors schedule, but for the NBA schedule, how unique this stretch of play is for the Warriors right now. So we'll get to that. But to what you were talking about, Eric, with Podziemski, I think this is, I don't want to overreact because there was no Steph Curry tonight. Now, if Steph Curry, I can't even believe I'm going to say it, but let's just say Steph Curry retired and he was done. Like, the Warriors would be obviously in a complete world of hurt. Like, they don't have the answers on the roster right now. And suddenly, I think Podziemski would find, or the Warriors would find, that Podziemski is a really tough fit without Steph. And I know a lot of the Podziemski detractors will say, well, the reason that he has such a high plus-minus is because he plays so many minutes with Steph. And I think, like a lot of things, there is some truth to that, but it's not the entire truth. Podziemski's skill set is just best deployed when it's with, a viable group around him, which is true for anybody. Steph is the rising tide that lifts all boats. Podziemski takes advantage of that, but also his ability is to, when he's in a good spot, to make that group better around him as well. But when the group around him is, I don't know, for lack of a better term, dysfunctional, Podziemski is not going to be the sole reason why it turns from dysfunctional to functional. That's just not who he is. And, I could say that that's unfair to ask that of him. But on the other hand, we know what Podziemski thinks of himself. We've heard him talk about it over and over and over about how once Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are no longer here, he wants to be the guy to lead the franchise for their non-Steph years. And he wants to be the face of the franchise. He wants to be a future all-star. He wants to be the Steph of the next generation. Like, that's all fine and good and like the confidence pods, but, when you talk about that and then you have an opportunity without Steph to kind of not be the number one option offensively, not asking you to score 30 points, but just be able to consistently get the Warriors into good spots offensively. Then, the dichotomy of the comments to the play is apparent, and it's going to get talked about. And in terms of what Eric was talking about in terms of benching pods, like that's not going to happen because of position scarcity. The Warriors don't have just a lot of ball handlers in general. Melton coming back is going to make a difference. Melton still has not played yet this year. D'Anthony Melton was on the Warriors last year, a big reason why they began the season 12-3. When he comes back, and the Warriors are going to give us another update on Melton, I think in a little less than 2 weeks, week and a half to 2 weeks, we're going to get another update on D'Anthony Melton. Hopefully he could return at some point this month. If not, I would think it would be early December, but he's not going to miss a ton more time. When he comes back, he gives the Warriors another ball handler. He gives them the ability to defend the perimeter, which this Warriors team desperately needs. Now, he's not going to be, again, the elite driver and beating his guy off the dribble. That's not what his game is either, especially coming off of an ACL injury. But, ball handler, take the pressure off of Steph, be smart, don't turn the ball over. Those are all going to help. And then we know what he can do defensively, which is going to help as well. What I think tonight's game was calling for, and again, it's kind of crazy that I'm saying this, no offense to Pat Spencer, your story is awesome. And when you go out there, honestly, you're pretty fun to watch because he is very athletic and he's quick. But tonight's game was calling for Pat Spencer over Brandon Podziemski. Because, again, what the Warriors lack when Steph isn't on the floor is just somebody on offense to beat their man off the dribble and give their team an advantage on offense. And for everything that Pat Spencer isn't, he is, all right with the ball in his hands as a dribbler and pretty darn quick. He consistently will get to the paint off a dribble. Consistently he will. Absolutely he will. And there's no surprise, by the way, that the second he came in the first quarter when the Warriors were already down double digits, the offense immediately began to click a little bit. There's also no surprise. It was Pat Spencer to begin the second quarter that got the Warriors off to that 10-0 run. The 10-0 run for the Warriors to begin the second quarter was a Pat Spencer drive, just as I was talking about. And then he kicked to the corner for a Draymond three-pointer. Oh, pardon me. Actually, it was not a Pat Spencer assist, but he drove, created the advantage. The defense collapsed. Then he kicked to the right wing to Moody. Defense, the Nuggets, as the Warriors did not do today, have to rotate. The defense rotates to Moody. They come off of Draymond in the corner. Moody passes to Draymond, right corner three, as Draymond says, boom, there's the bucket, and they get a three to begin the quarter. It was all because of Pat Spencer's drive. He gets the hockey assist, but it was because of the advantage he created off the dribble. Then next possession, it was Spencer drives again, this time baseline, draws the foul, gets to the free throw line, makes both. Suddenly a 5-0 beginning to the second quarter. And then Moses Moody had a steal, Butler a fast break mid-range jumper, and then Quentin Post a three-pointer in transition. 10-0 run, Warriors down by just one. But it was because the run began because of the Pat Spencer drives. And he's the best guy without Steph who one-on-one beat his man off the dribble and just create something. Whether it's a Spencer layup, whether it's a kick to Moody who then passes to Draymond for a three, or whatever the case is. That's one of the few ways the Warriors can get good shots is just Pat Spencer drive and kick, because they don't have a lot of others right now who can just simply drive. Everything else for the Warriors has to be not excruciating, but it has to be through the team scheme and the offense and moving the ball and crisp passing and being on time with your teammates and setting good screens and reading it and the quick decisions, whether I'm going to shoot, drive, or pass. You have to just be perfect like 8 times in a row, 8 different possessions, 8 different catches of the pass have to be perfect in order for you to get a good look. Because if you're not beating a guy off the dribble, you just have to rely on the scheme. And the scheme doesn't work without Steph. So without Steph and without a driver, how are you going to score? And that's what the Warriors ran into early until Pat Spencer came on the floor. So again, Pat Spencer is not going to be a guy who, when Steph is healthy and the Warriors are healthy, is going to play a lot. Of course not. Has he had some nice moments? Sure. Now, is he a player that has drawbacks? Absolutely, of course he is. But it was not a surprise to me that when he came in, the offense was a little crisper. But just like Podziemski at times, Pat Spencer will also get picked on defensively. But it's a give and take. Are you going to win a game by scoring 90 points? Not in today's NBA. But are you going to win a game by giving up 129? No. So what do you do today? Well, you're probably just SOL today. Bleep out of luck. And that's probably the reality for the Warriors in this one. Okay, we got to hit a break. 1 week countback. We got Steve Kerr's post-game comments. We'll get to that on the other side. Plus more time for your calls at 888-957-9570. And a whole lot more to dive into about this one. The Warriors lost to the Nuggets 129-104. Warriors are 1-4 in their last 5, and they're now sitting at 500 on the year at 5-5. Time for a break. Mark Randy with you. Warriors wrap-up continues next right here on 95.7 The Game.
On the break, Kuminga 2-on-5, goes in, throws out to Moody. The trailer's Podziemski. He puts it on the deck. Throws it out to Kuminga, up top to Draymond. He'll take a 3 straight on and bury it. Draymond's shot this year looks so much better. It's got a nice arc to it. When Draymond's missing threes, they're usually flat. And he's really put in some good work on that.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, they weren't flat tonight. Draymond was the Warriors' leading scorer with 17 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 5 of 10 from downtown. He made a three-pointer to begin the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. And in the third quarter, he made 3 threes in rapid succession. Warriors, though, ultimately lose this game 129-104. The Draymond shot was one of the few positives in this game. Not a whole lot else that went well for the Warriors. Down Steph Curry. You knew it was going to be tough against one of the best teams in the NBA. It was not just tough, but it was darn ugly for the Warriors. 129-104. The final, Warriors lose by 25 points. You did not get much of anything from your young trio. Again, Podziemski, Kuminga, and Moody combined. Those 3 combined, 15 points, 7 for 29 from the field, and 1 of 12 from downtown. Don't really know how you're going to win basketball games without Steph against a team like Denver with that group. In fact, I think I can go even a step further. Warriors without Steph Curry on the road, and you get 15 combined points on 29 shots from your young trio of Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski. A group of 3 who, if the Warriors are going to do something this year, have to be a positive. There's no doubt. Of course, it's going to be Steph leading the way and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But if the Warriors want to do anything beyond, compete for a play-in spot, the 3 youngsters of Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski are going to have a consistent positive impact. So you go into today, a road game, forget the opponent, a road game without Steph, and Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski combined for 15 points and 7 for 29 from the field. Oh, you're probably not going to beat anybody in the NBA. Almost anybody. Like, that was absolutely rough from the Warriors youngsters. I also think you can look at Jimmy Butler and say, hey, Jimmy, down Steph, you have to just take the onus. You have to be more aggressive. You need to get up 20 shots tonight. And, not just hoisting threes, but like good looks. Now, it's difficult. It's way harder to create good looks whether you're Jimmy or whether you're anybody else without Steph Curry. But Jimmy, without Steph, you're kind of the top dog here. Like, you got to take over offensively at times, and that didn't happen. 5 of 10 from the field, 0 of 3 from deep, which means he was 5 for 7 from 2. Those attempts needed to be a whole lot higher. Did not happen from Jimmy Butler today. Draymond did what Draymond, he did more than what Draymond normally does on the offensive end, but everybody else other than Quentin Post, who was 6 for 6 from the field, made both of his threes. Trace Jackson Davis, honestly, gave the Warriors a bit of a spark. Will Richard, this is the other thing. We're going to play the Steve Kerr post-game presser here in just a little bit. One of the questions I would have asked Steve Kerr, and I don't know if he was asked this, we're going to find out together here in just a sec. I have not listened to this yet, and I have not seen really any of the Steve Kerr quotes online. One of the questions I would have asked Steve is, after what Will Richard did Wednesday in Sacramento, 30 points in his first career start, it felt like he kind of wasn't in the rotation tonight. He first checked into this game, Will Richard did, fresh off of a 30-point performance. He first checked into this game with 6:39 to go in the second quarter. Warriors at that point already down big. That to me makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. Especially when you're down Steph Curry still tonight. Not that Will Richard is, point guard, ball handler, distributor. He's shown an ability to put the ball on the deck a little bit and get to the rim. Haven't seen a ton of the drive and dish. We're going to get more opportunities to see that. But, his three-point shot, while it doesn't look great, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing shot. It's been pretty effective to begin this season. He missed a few from deep tonight. He was 1 for 5, wasn't his best shooting day, but 5 for 10 from the field. He's good in transition. He's good cutting off of drives. He has a good feel for when to cut, how to make himself available to a driver for a pass, and he's a good finisher around the rim. I don't know how I don't know what the plan was, but to me, it kind of seemed like Will Richard was not in the rotational plan, and only when the Warriors got in major trouble in the second quarter did Steve Kerr say, all right, Will, get up, you're in. If I'm leading the way for the Warriors today and I'm making the decisions, I'm playing Will Richard in the first quarter. Hell, I might start Will Richard. Because what the hell do you got to lose? Ride the hot hand until he's not hot anymore, and Will Richard was hot. So I don't get that. I'm seeing a lot of this come in on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. Everything we do there on YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I don't really agree with the Steve Kerr was the... No, I don't, not really. I definitely do not agree with Steve Kerr was the reason the Warriors lost today. You did not get aggressive Jimmy, and you got zilch from Podziemski, Kuminga, and Moody. Like, at a certain point, your best players have to play like your best players. So I'm not blaming Steve Kerr for the loss. I am confused, though, Steve, why you didn't play Will Richard earlier and more. That, I think, is an entirely fair question and a fair complaint for tonight's game. But saying Steve Kerr's the reason the Warriors lost, that is absurd, in my opinion, because the Warriors had no business winning this basketball game when Podziemski, Moody, Kuminga do absolutely nothing for you. Again, they combined for 15 points on 7 for 29 from the field. I'm seeing it right now. Jason Lewis, of course you're not blaming Kerr. Nothing new. Jason, what the hell did you want him to do? Again, other than play Will Richard a little bit more. Sure, I get that. Over Buddy Hield. Absolutely. He's already playing him over GP2. GP2 did not play till garbage time. I think maybe you could say this game could have called for a little bit more Guy Santos early. Just energy, effort, defense, blocks, loose balls, rebounds, offensive boards. Absolutely. Is extra Guy Santos minutes and first quarter Will Richard minutes the reason why the Warriors lost by 25 points? Is that enough to make up for 25 points? Absolutely not. Don't kid yourself. Now, was it a great game from Steve Kerr? No, absolutely not. But at a certain point, the guys that you start that are the guys you rely on to win basketball games have to play good basketball. Did Moody play good basketball today? Did Kuminga play good basketball today? Did Podziemski play good basketball today? Hell, did you think Jimmy had a great game today? No, of course not. And when you're going up against an elite team like Denver without Steph Curry, those guys do not play good basketball. I don't care what the other decisions on the edge of the roster are. You're going to lose. Now, with that said, I would have played Will Richard in the first quarter. I probably would have played Guy Santos in the first half. Guy Santos did not play until garbage time, but that's not the reason. That's not enough to make up for a 25-point deficit and win this basketball game for the Warriors. So, again, agree to disagree. Not as if it was a perfect game. Far from it. Nobody was perfect for the Warriors in this game. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. I see some calls coming in right now. We'll get to them in just a second. I do think the Warriors actually do have a pretty big issue in terms of point of attack on both sides of the ball. It's particularly defensively because you're going to get Steph back, and Steph just camouflages so many issues on the offensive end. But point of attack on defense is a big issue. It is absolutely a big issue. The Warriors cannot stay in front of quick guards. And oftentimes those guards then also get switched on to bigger guys, and the Warriors will either not send help and they'll get scored on, or they will send help and the Warriors collapse a little bit too aggressively. Those offenses like Denver tonight will then kick it out to a shooter and they'll hit an open three. There's also some lapses defensively. I thought Kuminga today, he was much better in the third quarter, but the first half, it was really rough for Kuminga. He kind of just, I don't really know how this happens, especially in a game where no one really took the initiative offensively. How does that not just fall to Kuminga? And how does Kuminga not take it upon himself to be the leader offensively when no one else is really willing to step up to that? I don't know how in the first half, Jonathan Kuminga today in the first half had just 4 shot attempts. And he was 0 for 4, but 4 shot attempts. That's got to be up near like 7, 8, 9 for Kuminga in a half in a game like today when no one else is really taking that initiative offensively. And then defensively, I think when he kind of gets taken out of the game offensively, and this is kind of what I think hurt him last year, and we kind of have seen him not relapse, that's too strong of a word, but when he gets taken out of the game for whatever reason offensively, I do think that tends to then, it makes it more difficult for him to be engaged defensively the whole game. And he fell asleep sometimes defensively today. Absolutely he did. The same for everybody else as well, but Kuminga was guilty of that as well. 888-957-9570. We got time for your calls. Let's go to Rich in Los Altos who wants to weigh in. What's up, Rich? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, thanks for letting me on. Well, first of all, I think the Warriors are going to be fine. It's just, Steph's old. This is just going to happen some games. He's just not going to be there. But the thing that frustrates me a little bit is I'm the biggest Steve Kerr fan ever, so it's not against him. But it's just like it seems like the Warriors' offense is made always the same. So if Steph's in there, it's great. He gets in three-point territory. They're going to give him picks, and he's going to, either bomb away or blow by the guy. But for the guys who can't do that, like, it'd be nice, like, to have other plays. Like, I think Kuminga could have some, more inside junk, like, closer in. And I think that's what happened with Clay this last couple of years, though, is once he lost the step, he couldn't float around out there. And I kind of think that's Buddy Hield's problem. He's just half a step slow, so it doesn't work for him, even though he has so many other skills. So I guess I'm kind of bashing Kerr and not bashing him at the same time. So I don't want to. So anyway, I don't want to turn negative. I just think everything's going to be cool, and I think they got a chance still. So anyway, that's kind of all I got.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Appreciate the call, Rich. I mean, yes, Steph was out today. Like, Steph was out. If your hope was the Warriors are able to compete with one of the best teams in the NBA without Steph, then I'm telling you, you're not living in reality. Like, Steph is still the MVP award is obviously, like, it depends on how you defend value. Steph is still one of, if not the most valuable player in the NBA because of how he transforms a team's offense. And by the way, the offense does impact defense, right? The more the Warriors get good looks offensively, one, it's fewer they turn the ball over, and it's two, more often that the opposing offense is taking the ball out of the net, your defense can set up in the half court, and you're going to be better defensively. So Steph changes so much. So I'm not going to overreact and say, well, today's loss without Steph spells the Steph-led Warriors' doom. Now, if you want to say, well, this is what happens when Steph misses time and he's 37 years old, they're in trouble, that's fair. This has always been, if Steph is healthy, you got a chance. If Steph's not healthy, pack it up, season's over. So we're not really breaking new ground here, but I also don't want to overreact and just say, well, the Warriors are cooked without Steph, because that has always been it's true, but that's always been the case. Now, it's probably more likely that they're going to be without Steph here and there now because he's 37 and will be 38 in March. But it's always been the case that if Steph doesn't play, this team looks entirely different and they're going to struggle. Absolutely. Of course, I mean, we know what happened in the playoffs last year. Steph goes down. They lost 4 games in a row. They needed to win just 1 game for him. 1 game for him to have a chance to come back for Game 6. They could not do that. 0-4 once Steph went down versus the T-Wolves. And there were a couple of competitive games, but largely they were clearly the worst team in all those games. Pretty clearly. So without Steph, like, this is kind of what you get. Now, if you want to talk about life after Steph, and if you want to ask how prepared are the Warriors for life without Steph, I mean, they are not prepared at all. Tonight was a very good example of that. They have played better without Steph in the past. Last year, they were pretty decent without Steph. It was something like, at one point, they were 7-4 without Steph, something like that in the regular season. They honestly were pretty decent without Steph last year, for what it's worth. But if we want to gauge their readiness for Steph moving on, they're absolutely not ready for that. I think that's a conversation for another time, but it's pretty apparent today and tonight that that's the case. But this is kind of what happens when your most valuable player sits out. 888-957-9570. Up next is Joshua in Dublin, who I believe wants to weigh in on the same exact thing. What's up, Joshua? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up with Mark Randy. What do you got?
How you doing? How you doing, Grandy? I thought this was Evan at first, but good to hear you, Grandy.
Thanks, Joshua. What do you got?
Anyways, my thought is the Warriors, do they seriously have a plan after Curry retires? Because I don't think they do. They may say they do, but they do not. Is Brandon Podziemski really going to carry your team after Curry retires? I do not think so. Is Jonathan Kuminga? No. The relationship with him and Steve Kerr is toxic. It will not work out. We've been through this for 4 years, and at this point, it will not work out. Okay? I just don't know. I just do not think they have a plan, and I do not know what the future holds after Steph retires. Thank you, Grandy.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Joshua. I mean, we can, again, I think this is probably a conversation for another day, but the Warriors, are they prepared for after Steph? No, they're not. But it's on one hand, is kind of, I think, compliment to how they've handled things, at least within the last year, within the last calendar year, because the trade for Jimmy Butler and everything has kind of signaled, like, all right, we're in for the next 2 years. As long as Steph is still here, we're in, try to win one more championship with Steph. So the fact that the plan beyond Steph is just fingers crossed on Kuminga and Podziemski and Moody, like, on one hand, it's, well, life might be really rough without Steph. That was probably always going to be the case, by the way. But it's also like, yeah, that's kind of what happens when you trade for a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler and give him $50+ million a year. Like, you're kind of just already telling yourself, all right, we're in it for now and next year and maybe the year after that, and then we'll figure things out at that point. Do they have a set plan for 3 years from now? No. Does any team that isn't actively tanking have a plan for 3 years from now? No, not really. Like OKC does, because they're in their infancy as like they're not a dynasty. Maybe they get there, but they're in their infancy as like a team that is a legitimate title contender every year. Like, they feel pretty good about themselves 3 years from now, but how many teams out there feel like their plan 3 years from now is set in stone? Like, that's not exactly how it works, especially when you're a veteran team that's kind of clinging to relevance. And the Warriors are there. So I don't really blame the Warriors for right now not having a plan for 3 years from now. Now, I think if you zoom out, you look at the larger scope of, all right, the Warriors won the championship in 2022. What have they done since then? I think they've kind of ridden the fence. They haven't really committed to one side over the other, right? The common phrase that we hear, and I guess this goes back to before the championship in 22, it was the draft of Wiseman in 2020 and then the draft of Kuminga and Moody in 21. It was kind of, 1 foot in the young guys planning for the future and then another foot in the let's try to win one more championship and now another championship with Steph. I think of late they have kind of taken a soft stance into the let's win one more championship with Steph, and the big move there is the trade for Jimmy Butler. But overall, the last 5 years, I think it's kind of been split. So if you want to look at it from a 5-year, you rewind 5 years and look at their decisions over the course of those 5 years, I think there's more room to be critical of, well, pick a lane, right? And preferably pick the lane of F them picks. Let's get a bunch of veterans in here and let's win one more with Steph. As opposed to kind of, I know the common phrase is, the two timelines, right? The youngsters and the veterans. Hasn't really worked. I mean, your youngsters today, what's left of them, Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski. It's just one game, but Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski, 15 points, 7 for 29 from the field combined. That's what you get, I guess, when you kind of split this into two ways. 888-957-9570. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Is this Baldy? Baldy's in Berkeley? What's up? You're on Warriors Wrap Up.
Yes, brother. Bulgy. Same thing, brother. I'm very tired of Steve Kerr. I swear to God, I am done. This guy, very frustration, very stressed. No good organization with the team in his rotation. Al Horford, he doesn't want to play. We paid this guy money. I don't get it. He's old guy. I don't understand the situation. Jimmy Butler, $50 million. You got to be kidding me. He's not really a superstar. This is with Miami very good, but not over here. I don't see no results. And also, brother, to be honest, we need to make a decision on the future. Podolski, he's not really good. Kuminga, he's up and down. Why you do not play the kid, Richard Pryor? He should start from the beginning. All that skill he do on the Sacramento. I'm tired of Steve Kerr. He is very frustrating me, worse than my wife. He is very frustrating me. He's a Ben Schultz. I'm tired of this guy. I swear to God.
Okay, thank you, man. You're testing out some material, and I respect it. Okay, look, this is a rough night, a rough Warriors loss. They've won just one of their last 5. They're 1-4 in their last 5. They're back to 500 at 5-5. They're 1-5 on the road, by the way. A perfect 4-0 at home, 1-5 on the road. They've lost their last 5 road games. Like, things are not great right now, but we're 10 games into the year. All right, it's a long season. Remember where the Warriors were in February last year? Like, there's a lot of basketball to be played. So I'm not gonna say it's time to end things and think about the future. Like, no, it's of course far too early for that. Far too early for that. Okay. We got off there on the Steve Kerr conversation and love the interaction as always. Let's go to Steve Kerr. In fact, before I go to Steve Kerr, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Steve Kerr, post-game in Denver. Warriors lose to the Nuggets 129-104. Here is the coach of the Warriors.
Just the lack of purpose and energy, really right from the start. Competitive fire, connection, a competitive edge. We didn't have it.
What do you think caused that lack of purpose and lack of energy?
I don't know.
Tough nights for Jonathan, Moses, and Brandon. Just what did you see from them?
The game didn't go their way, but there has to be, some fire in the belly to get out of a tough night. It's tough as a young player when things aren't going your way and game's not going your way. It's easy to, kind of get down, and you can't do that in this league. You have to fight and to compete every second, and it didn't feel like we did that tonight.
Steve, to your point, with younger guys specifically, when they're struggling like those 3 were tonight, is it reps in these kind of road games environments, or what do you do to get them out of that?
There's always another game in the NBA. We have a huge game Sunday. Go home for one game, out on the road for a really tough trip. We got to go get Sunday. So you turn the page quickly, and we got a lot of guys who can play and can compete, and but we need all 12, all 13, however many guys get in the game. We need a full level of competitive fight and execution. And I didn't think we got much of either tonight.
Could you feel mental lapses from JK and BP, and what were the conversations like with them?
I talked to both guys during the game, just trying to help them get going, and we needed to do some things offensively to try to generate some pace and some flow, because the first 8 minutes it was just the ball just stuck and no movement, no pace.
When you notice that your team doesn't have the competitive fire that they need, how does that change what you're trying to do as a coach?
Well, you try to do some things schematically. You pick up full. You maybe trap. Maybe you go to zone. Change your lineups. I can see when it's happening, what's happening. Pretty tough when it happens against one of the best teams in the league with the best player in the world, and they make 16 threes. You're just swimming upstream the whole time. So it never felt like we had any traction in the game other than that first few minutes of the second quarter. And, 1-point game, and we immediately give up a 19-2 run with Jokic on the bench. That was the game right there. And so we've got a lot to work on, a lot to consider. But we move forward, and I like this team a lot. I like our talent. I like our depth. I think we obviously need to get Steph back, but I think the biggest thing going forward will just be trying to develop, regular rotation patterns and finding combinations that work.
How close do you think you are to finding regular rotation patterns?
I'm not there yet. Obviously, we've got to get Steph back, but if we get him back and we're fully healthy, then we've got some thoughts as to things we can do to, balance out the the rotations and be a better, more efficient team.
Do you know what's next on Al? Is he going to need?
I don't. Yeah, the foot started bothering him today, and so he shot around with us this morning, tested it out, and just wasn't right. So obviously we kept him out.
If he misses time, I presume that would be a little more Draymond at center.
Yeah, it would have to be, and then obviously Trace. I think Trace has played really well for us here in the early going, and QP as well. So those are our options. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, that was Steve Kerr post-game tonight in Denver after his Warriors lose to the Nuggets, 129-104. Weird. I did not hear a question about why no Will Richard till the second quarter. That's what I would have asked. Again, I want to make myself clear. I don't think Steve Kerr had a winning hand in this game today. I don't think the Warriors could have won this basketball game the way that their key players played. Still does not mean I was not confused by some Steve Kerr decisions today. Steve Kerr said this a little more than 24 hours ago, about 30 hours ago. Steve Kerr said this about Will Richard. Listen to what he said and particularly pay attention to what he said near the end. This piece of sound is 1 minute and 17 seconds long. Listen to what Steve Kerr said about Will Richard, and he has a message here to the rest of the team. This was yesterday. Steve Kerr on Willard and Dibs here on 95.7 The Game. Here's Steve Kerr on Will Richard.
Will fits in perfectly with, the turnovers, the decision-making, the spacing, the ability to dribble, pass, and shoot and process. Those four things lead to good decision-making as a team, as a group. I can draw a play out of timeout and put Will in any one of the 5 positions. I can draw up a play for him to come off a screen and shoot, draw up the play for him to handle the ball and make the decision. I can draw up a play to have him set a screen. So when you get guys like this that provide really solid play and stability, this is what has made our team go around Steph and Draymond. I've said this to you guys a million times. Who are those stabilizers out there in this decade run that we've had? It's Andre Iguodala, it's Sean Livingston, it's David West. You need them at different positions because Steph and Dre need stability around them to get them organized and to help them navigate the game and to get Steph the ball. Will Richard fits all those. He checks all those boxes. So, I think that the whole team, the whole organization recognizes this, which means everybody's on notice. Take care of the ball because we got people who will do that, and they're ready to step in.
Everybody's on notice, so take care of the ball because we got other guys who are ready to step in. That was a direct message at a lot of Warriors players that haven't had a good stretch of basketball recently. Steve Kerr said, watch out, play better, or else Will Richard will take your minutes. And then Steve Kerr today turned around and did not play Will Richard till it kind of felt like the game was already over. I know it wasn't, but it kind of felt like it was already over about halfway through the second quarter. And he responded by scoring 7 points in the final 6 minutes of the first half. He finishes today's game with 12 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 rebounds, a couple of assists, did not turn the ball over. That, to me, does not make sense to me. It just simply does not make sense. So we'll see. We'll see how the Will Richard minutes move forward. Will Richard is obviously already ahead of GP2 in the rotation, as he should be. GP2 did not play until garbage time today. That's the right decision. Is Will Richard going to move ahead of Buddy Hield, or at least cut into Buddy Hield's minutes at some point? Is he going to maybe take a couple minutes away from Brandon Podziemski once Steph Curry is back? If Moses Moody struggles, will he play over Moody at times? We will see. Probably not. It's going to take, I'll say it this way, it's going to take an extended stretch for someone like Moody or Podziemski. I think, to lose minutes to Will Richard. But Steve Kerr said it there, like, be on notice, because if you don't play well, if you keep turning the ball over, you're going to potentially lose your minutes to Will Richard. And today, turnovers was not a major problem. The Warriors committed 12 as a team, 8 in the first half. Once the game was basically over, not as bad. So really, the 8 turnovers in the first half, that's not a good number, and that kind of did the Warriors in. 3 turnovers from Draymond, 2 from Kuminga, 2 from Podziemski, 2 from Hield, 2 from Pat Spencer, and 1 from Moody. Those are the turnovers today. Not terrible turnovers in today's game, although it did turn into 22 points off of turnovers for Denver, just pure numbers-wise, not a terrible number. But again, the first half, it was not good. 888-957-9570. A couple minutes left with you here on Warriors Wrap-Up. I promised the Warriors schedule and some of the numbers. First of all, the Warriors stretch of play that began on Tuesday. They have a doubleheader Tuesday, Wednesday, at home to Phoenix, on the road to Sac. And then it includes tonight, the loss in Denver, Sunday at home to Indiana, 6-game road trip, and then home to Portland. That is a stretch of 11 games over the course of 18 days with 3 back-to-backs. 18 days from the 4th of November to the 21st. That's 18 days, 11 games during that stretch of 18 days. We're talking about like 2.5 weeks. And in that stretch, you have 3 back-to-backs. And guess what? You travel more than 9,000 miles in that 18-day stretch. And shout out to one of my favorite NBA accounts on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. You can give them a follow at Automatic NBA, at Automatic NBA. According to Automatic NBA, this stretch of Warriors basketball, again, from November 4th to November 21st, 18 days, 11 games. You are looking at the only 18-day stretch this season where any NBA team has to play 11 games and travel 9,000 or more miles. The only stretch in NBA this season, in the NBA this season. Miles traveled over any 18-day stretch where you're playing 11 games this season in the NBA. The most miles, the Warriors by far will travel more miles than any other 11-game stretch over the course of 18 days. Like, it is what it is, the Warriors' schedule. It is not easy. It frankly feels a little unfair. I think I'd rather have it early in the season than late in the season. So we're going to be looking back on this come January when the Warriors hardly leave California and feel a whole lot better about ourselves. But there's no doubt what they're going through right now is really, really tough. And it's only exacerbated because, of course, right now you're dealing without Steph. And last game you didn't have Jimmy and you also didn't have Draymond. So not pretty right now. It's going to get better, but it's definitely not pretty right now. Just to give you the official opponents that are coming up. At home to Indiana Sunday, 5:30 with the tip-off. I've got you covered with Warriors Live at 4:30, an hour before tip, live from Chase Center. Then they go on the road for 6 at Oklahoma City on Tuesday, at San Antonio Wednesday, a back-to-back. Then a day off in San Antonio. San Antonio again a week from tonight, Friday. That's the Warriors' next NBA Cup game. In New Orleans a week from Sunday. In Orlando the following Tuesday. In Miami Wednesday, another back-to-back. That is the 6-game road trip. So the next 7 games for the Warriors, you have OKC, 2 San Antonios, an Orlando and a Miami. Pretty, quality opponents, really good opponents and some quality opponents. And 6 of those 7 games are on the road. This is a really tough 7-game stretch. And honestly, if the Warriors just go 4-3 in those 7 games and look up and are 9-8, returning home for Portland and Utah, you'll take it. I think the goal should be 4-3 in those 7. Hopefully, Steph Curry is back for Sunday versus Indiana because the Warriors desperately need that. There's no doubt about it. Last thing before I get out of here, I did want to let you guys know about the NBA Cup. The Warriors in West Group C. This was the first full day of Cup action for West Group C. Denver has already played in 2 games. They played Portland earlier. Portland was not in action today, so every team in West Group C but Portland played today in an NBA Cup game. San Antonio, they beat Houston by 11. Denver, of course, beat the Warriors by 25. Portland was idle, but Portland got a narrow 2-point win over Denver early. So the NBA Cup West Group C standings after this slate of games, San Antonio is in first with a 1-0 record at plus 11-point differential. Portland in second with a 1-0 record, a plus 2-point differential. Denver in third with a 1-1 record and a plus 23-point differential. Houston in fourth, 0-1 record, minus 11-point differential. And then the Warriors, they're bringing up the rear in fifth, 0-1 record and a negative 25-point differential. In case you don't know, the winner of each group, which is decided by record, you play each team in your group. Tiebreaker is point differential. The winner of each group advances to the quarterfinals, plus one wild card in each conference. So West Group A, B, and C, one of the non-group winners will also advance, and that is also going to be based on 1, record in the group, and 2, point differential. So today, a Warriors loss and a blowout loss. So they are behind the 8 ball in West Group C because, again, not only a loss, but point differential as a major tiebreaker, and with so few games, there will be tiebreakers across the board. The Warriors in a bad spot to advance in West Group C. Still, though, of course, very early. And if you care about the NBA Cup, a lot of basketball left. If you don't care about the NBA Cup and you might actually not want the Warriors to advance and play extra games, might not be the worst thing to suffer this kind of loss today. If you're going to lose, maybe lose by 30, not the end of the world. But the Warriors do lose today by 25, and they're looking at an upward climb in West Group C. Okay, that's all the time we got tonight. Thank you so much for joining in. A rough night for the Warriors, there's no doubt about it, but always made better by chatting it out with you here on Warriors Wrap Up. The Nuggets beat the Warriors 129-104. Warriors fall to 5-5 on the year. They were 4-1. They're now 1-4 in their last 5 games to begin the season. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out as well to my guys behind the glass, Cam Williams and Steven Risotto. My name is Mark Graney signing off. I will talk to you on Sunday. Warriors at home versus the Pacers, trying to get revenge for what happened last weekend in Indiana. Time will tell if Steph is to play. Steph did not travel with the team to Denver, dealing with an illness. We'll see if he's back come Sunday. I will let you know at 4:30 with Warriors Live ahead of tip coming up at 5:30 on Sunday here on 95.7 The Game. Okay. Thanks so much again for tuning in. I'm Mark Graney signing off. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you on Sunday right here on 95.7 The Game.
To see what they're going to be, to see how good or how bad or how dominant they can be.